What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Thursday, January 27th, 2022. 3 months until my birthday. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the verified one at Tim Geddes.
Let Tim host, Greg. I love when we start a show and right before we get into it, Kevin sets the tone for where the energy is going to be at. And what I appreciate about Kevin is no matter how tired he is, no matter how much is going on, he throws himself forward. And there was an energy in his voice when he's like, are you all ready to rock and roll? Where I don't think he got a single word right in the right order, but we were energized by his energy. We felt the readiness, the preparedness that he had in his head, not in his mouth. How you feeling today, Kev?
They often don't line up, Tim. They often don't line up. The mouth and the brain, they're not in this. They're not moving in sync. They're not empatico. Simpatico.
Syllables there.
Y'all are getting exactly what I'm talking about. I love
That's
it.
what I love, Kev. That's all about it right there, Kevin the Glue. I'm so excited. Yeah, I always think of Kevin as our Mick Foley, probably Mankind Attitude Era. Where like you're not going to keep him down. Remember like the I Quit match with The Rock? Like he kept getting up. They just begged him to stay down, but he couldn't do it. And he exactly. He's going to propel himself forward. He's going to make this happen no matter what. And that's why Kevin's the glue.
He's the glue, man. And dude, there's an energy in the air regardless of Kevin. This is Pokemon Legends.
I looked outside. I saw some leaves changing. And I was like, what does that mean, Tim?
It's review season.
It is review season. Something you coined yourself. I'm very proud of you for coming in and stepping in and doing that. I know who really coined it.
Okay, good. I don't want credit.
I'm making a joke at Blessing's expense, Tim.
I don't even want the joke credit, Greg. Get that off of me.
Because he's gonna come in here like the Kool-Aid Man through the wall, totally pissed off in
a second. The smallest hole in a wall I've ever seen.
Jumps through the keyhole of the door. I'm blessing and I'm mad. No, I'm right there with you, Tim. Like, we got we're right on the heels. We have already talked about it multiple times, but to say it again, Dying Light 2 review next week on Gamescast. Of course, Pokemon's out tomorrow. Then Horizon imminently. Sifu imminently. Elder Scrolls imminently. It's Roger Perconi's birthday Pokorny's birthday right now, by the way. There's a chant going off in the Twitch thing.
Elden Ring.
It's all happening, Tim.
Yeah.
All the video games are happening, except for a few that got delayed, which we'll talk about today. We're going to talk
about...
Some
are canceled that are coming back. Well, coming back in video form, which I'm excited about.
Yes. There's a lot of news today, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. We have new Star Wars 1313 footage, which is ridiculous to say out loud this many years later. A bunch of Ubisoft news, a bunch of cancelizations, some delays, and maybe Uncharted sequel news. We're going to talk about all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show over at patreon.com/kindafunnygames. On patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can write in with your questions, comments, concerns. You can get the show ad-free. You can get it with the exclusive post show we record each and every week. Of course, that's not it. You can get shows like PS I Love You, XOXO, the XCast, Gamescast live as we record them. You could be a trog in the chat, hanging out with us, being part of the shows. And you get all those benefits I already mentioned for those shows as well. However, if you have no bucks to toss our way, it's no big deal. You, of course, could watch us record the show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, just like RJC Gaminji, Kebabs on TV, and Daksu bots are. If you're watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. If you wanted to go the extra mile and support Kinda Funny over on the Epic Game Store, you could use the creator code Kinda Funny. All your purchases will get a little bit of kickback over to us, and it works on things like Rocket League. It works on things like Fortnite. It works on anything, on any platform where you can put in an Epic creator code. Housekeeping for you. There's a brand new episode of the Kinda Funny podcast up. It's all about lollipops. And then One Fan's Bagel Shop in New York. If you want to know what the hell we're talking about, youtube.com/kindafunny, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. Look for the Kinda Funny podcast. I was talking to Tim before we went live, even though I think it's because a little bit of withdrawal for being gone for 3 months. We have been on a tear with great episodes. This is a great episode. Last week's one where we stealthily interview Michael Hyam about Blessing's eating habits was a great episode.
Greg, before we get into the show and all the rest of the rigmarole, I have two things I want to bring up from chat. One, the chat reminded me that today is, in fact, Roger Percorny's birthday. So everyone go send some sweet, nasty love to
He having a
@Raj
stroke?
Former.
I feel like
This
I
just
get
shows
distracted.
how little he listens.
Yeah,
When
I
I
go
get
into the
distracted
Yeah.
looking at the
when
chat.
I go
trying to
into the
look at these
rigmarole,
points.
He talked about
Tim
it.
just flips the switch off. This is, and I hate to
I
say it.
do. I do.
hate to say it, everybody. I'm sorry. This is a Nick moment, Tim. You've
is.
you've aged up so far. You've aged into Nick
I did
territory.
that, and Roger's getting close with every birthday that he has. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I did get distracted there. You were doing the rigmarole. I totally tuned out, and I'm looking at the chat. But I got distracted, and I have a good reason. I have an excuse for this one, Greg. The name that you called out that I very clearly was listening to, the Doc Subat, right?
Yeah.
Confusing the hell out of me in chat. I need to bring this to everyone's attention. So his name is Doc Subat. It's an old nickname. Subotnik is his last name. Subotnik, dope last name. But
Yeah,
here's the problem with this. How are we supposed to know it's pronounced Doc Subat when you spell it capital D, lowercase O-C-S-U, capital B, capital O, capital T? There's no way in hell you read that Doc Subat. You see what I'm saying here, Greg?
I do, but it's been pointed out to me it's Roger Percorni's birthday. Happy birthday, Roger. Thank you to our Patreon producers. Wait, you had two things, right? Or is that what?
Roger was
it,
number one, and
then the number was Doc Subat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, I like it because the way I ended up saying it, I thought if you're in the chat, you're driving your car, you're listening to this later, maybe you thought it was like a Dachshund reference. But no, now it's just his name is Doc Subat. You know what I mean? He says that he failed. He apologizes right there. So it's great. But he's a 19-month subscriber on twitch.tv/KindaFunny.
We appreciate
I wish
all
that were
that.
good enough. I wish that were good enough.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, James Davis, aka @JamesDavisMakes, Blackjack, and Prankski. Today we're brought to you by Purple Mattress and Babbel, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. Believe it or not, there are 10 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Getting dangerously close to a real baker's dozen. Number one on the Roper Report, ladies and gentlemen, Star Wars 1313. It is a game that never happened and has been gone and dead for years, but somehow new footage has been released of the Boba Fett game we almost got. We're looking at Darren's article over at GameSpot. Kevin, I gave you a link there to throw up if you can. It's just we're going to talk over it because it's what he's writing about. And he says, new footage of the canceled Star Wars 1313 has been unearthed by The Vault, showing off gameplay of the franchise's iconic bounty bot. I got Doc Subat on the brain now. Bounty hunter Boba Fett as he explores several locations. While some of the video shows the game off in an early stage of production, it's still a fascinating look at some gameplay elements, including exploration of a bar, chasing down targets, and establishing Fett's reputation as a no-nonsense gun for hire. Star Wars 1313 was originally revealed at E3 2012 and would have seen players descend into the criminal underworld of the Galactic Empire's capital city, Coruscant. A year later, and the project was officially dead after Disney's acquisition of the Star Wars franchise and put all ongoing projects on hiatus. The location of the game, level 1313, eventually made its way into several episodes of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Interestingly, Fett was reportedly never meant to be the star of the game. As author Jason Schreier noted in his book, Blood, Sweat, and Pixels, LucasArts leadership was instructed by Star Wars creator George Lucas to replace the original protagonist with a pre-Empire version of Fett. This came well into the development of Star Wars 1313 after LucasArts had cast actor Wilson Benfell, established a backstory for the character, and had spent a significant time on his technical development. Tim, as we continue to let this roll, what are your thoughts? Is it a what could have been situation?
Oh, it's definitely a what could have been situation. Like, look at this. You can see the potential for sure. And you also can kind of see what turned into other games, right? Like there's even elements here of us getting our Star Wars fix from Jedi Fallen Order. Obviously, totally different team. But in the beginning of this, we saw some sliding action, some stuff that feels very familiar to anyone that's played Jedi Fallen Order. But the background of this is awesome. Seeing the ships flying around Coruscant and all this, it's so cool. And yeah, this iteration of Boba Fett is one I would have been very interested to see. I'm very sad that we're not going to get this game. I love these Uncharted type games, and it would have been great to get a Star Wars one. And you know, now this is two canceled versions of that in different ways between Viscerals and this. So that's really sad.
Right.
Yeah.
But you look at this though, and it's like you bring up, of course, a different team, you know, obviously Respawn, yada, yada, for Fallen Order. What you're seeing is, I think, something that could have been truly special. Because again, we're talking about this game getting revealed in 2013, right? 2012, right?
Yeah.
And you figure that means it's on the heels of Uncharted, Drake's Fortune in 2007, Uncharted 2 in 2009, Uncharted 3 in 2011. Like, this game had already seen Naughty Dog crawl to run. And I think getting in there and putting a Star Wars skin on that would have been super fascinating. Like, in, you know, the stuff we were just seeing of you crawling and jumping and, like, you know, sliding down the thing, doing the finger grab, like, that stuff you still see in games today because it is fun and immersive and doing all these things. And do that as Boba Fett, to see that as, you know, what the canon would have been at the time of a pre-Empire Boba Fett, really flesh out that backstory leading up to that moment. That'd be cool.
I mean, it'd be super cool. And like, yeah, you talking about the potential of this, like looking at this footage, and you saying that there's like a lot of modern elements, like I'm actually surprised at how modern some of this looks. Like this, what we're looking at here looks like a very early version of Guardians of the Galaxy that we just played.
Yeah, if you're an audio listener, we're talking about Boba Fett walking through the bar right now, which to me actually smacks more of Mass Effect. But I understand what you're saying from Guardians of walking through the bar in Guardians, sure, but even just the bazaar you walk through in Guardians where you can buy stuff from the thing.
Yeah, totally. And just like the kind of slow walk and then these cinematic moments happening. Like I'm actually
this looks great.
I'm way more impressed with this than I imagined footage coming out of this extremely old game. The question I have that I don't remember, Greg. So 2012, this would have been PS3, 360, but do you think it would have also been on PS4? Like, would they have? Because this looks pretty damn advanced for a PS3 game, but I guess with like Uncharted 3 and stuff, like that's what they were doing. Even Last of Us, like
no, I think it's I think you would have been PS3. I mean, you would have gotten remastered or whatever to, you know, the next one, I assume. But
I had a dream about the PS3 last night, Greg.
What happened to it? Did you use the compact flash slot on the front of it?
No, if I'm being honest, me and you got in a fight over the designs.
Oh, okay. Well, this actually still sounds correct. This still sounds correct.
It does. It definitely does. But you were trying to tell me that the original PS3 was attractive. And I'm like, no, it's not. Yeah, and then you started arguing that that it's more attractive than the Slim. And
which Slim are we talking about? Are we talking about the George Foreman grill slid?
Even in my dream, Greg, I was upset at myself where I'm like, why am I going to bat for any of the PS3 designs? I'm not a fan of any of them.
I'm trying to remember what was.
But Tim, which one's worse? You know what I mean?
George Foreman grill one. What was the read?
Oh, the one that had the side slider.
The Slim. Yeah. No, the Slim. The mid one is the hot one. When you had the PS3 Fat with the Spider-Man font, then you had the Slim, then you had the George Foreman grill. Slim is the hotness. We're agreed. That's not. We want to fight over that. I mean, again, I'm not saying like
of that.
Exactly. I'm not. This is definitely. You know, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king or whatever. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, don't get me wrong. None of these, like, move the needle for me.
Dream Greg was way more aggressive and was a big fan.
Of the Fat.
Of all of them.
No, I mean, like, I think the Slim is fine. I think, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting there, like, thinking. You want to know what I was thinking of? This is non-Dream Greg. This is real Greg. This is your friend Greg right here talking to you.
Thank
Reality
God.
Greg.
Yeah.
I was, last night, getting pretty excited. I'm starting to, you know, DICE is coming up. I'm hosting DICE again. We're going to talk about here in a couple news stories. Not about me hosting it, but I'm hosting it on the show. But no big deal. Year 5 or 6, I forget. Anyways, though, I obviously got to pack a PlayStation. You know what I mean? I'm going to Vegas for a couple days. I ain't going to gamble. I'm going to fucking lock myself down in the hotel room, try not to get into COVID and hosting a award show. So I'm bringing the PlayStation 5, and I start wrapping my head around packing a PlayStation 5. You know, I traveled, you know me very well throughout these years, Tim, with a PS4, a PS3, Xboxes. I've traveled with everything. I haven't traveled much with the PS5 thanks to the pandemic happening with it.
And also, it's a beefy boy.
And that's where we go with this conversation as I started daydreaming about what the redesign is going to look like for it when you get a smaller PS5. And I was like, it's like, I love the Wayne Tower look of the PlayStation 5. And I like, my first thought was just shrinking that. Just like, you have the PS5 Slim next to the PS5. And it's just like, just shrunk down a bit.
Yeah.
Honey, I shrunk the PS5.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Cause I like the wackiness of it. I digress.
Star
Wars 1313 looks great. I really wish this game would have happened. I wish they would have kept going. I wish Amy's game Ragtag would have happened. I wish, I don't know. I haven't talked to you since it got announced earlier in this week, of course. Go back and look at the other games dailies. How are you feeling about these 3 games out of Respawn?
Oh, I mean, Jedi Fallen Order 2 could not be more excited. Strategy game, not necessarily my thing, but putting IP that I love on top of it is the thing that's going to get me into it. Like, look at Mario plus Rabbids or the Midnight Suns from Marvel. So I think it's a cool idea. And then the first-person shooter, we just don't know enough about. The Medal of Honor VR team, that doesn't get me excited, but not because they're not talented, just because I'm not too aware of their talents. So
for sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm bummed that we're not getting a Battlefront 3. Like, I think the Battlefront has a lot of issues, but like at the end of the day, to this day, it's one of the most impressive looking games ever and sounding games. Like it is Star Wars through and through.
Do you think there's still more juice in that orange though? Like this is something I said as a novice, not as a Star Wars fan, not as a first person or a shooter fan. I know it can be played in third person too. Like you had 2 of those games. It seemed like they threw everything in the kitchen sink. Like and then of course there's all the baggage that comes with the name now, thanks to loot boxes, microtransactions. Like I would assume you take time off and come back with something different after a bit.
Yeah, I think EA is just in a weird place with their big online multiplayer shooters in every direction. So I think that no matter what, they would have to like kind of go back to the drawing board. But I just think the Battlefront name means so much, and a Battlefront 3 would mean even more. Like I feel like we just need to hit that number one day. But yeah, I obviously it is layered and complicated, so I totally understand them not jumping into it. But I think that we're far enough away from Battlefront 2 being bad, like having its issues, and they fixed those over time. But I don't know. I'm again not surprised that it's not happening. I am a little bummed because I enjoyed it. I thought that the story in Battlefront 2 wasn't the best, but it was fun to play. And I feel like I'd like to see another swing at it. But I would much rather Jedi Fallen Order 2. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I can't wait for Fallen Order 2. And number 2 in the Roper Report, Ed Boon's going to the DICE Hall of Fame. The Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences is pleased to announce its 25th Hall of Fame recipient, Ed Boon, Chief Creative Officer of NetherRealm Studios and Mortal Kombat. Boon, co-creator of the storied Mortal Kombat and Injustice franchises, will be honored at the 25th Annual DICE Awards ceremony at the Mandalay Bay Resort in Las Vegas and live streamed on IGN on February 24th. Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, will present the 2022 Hall of Fame award to Boon. The AIAS Hall of Fame honor is bestowed on game creators who have been instrumental in the development of highly influential games and moving a particular genre forward. These individuals demonstrate the highest level of creativity and innovation, resulting in significant product influence on a scale that expands the scope of the industry. Past Hall of Fame recipients include Connie Booth in 2020, Bonnie Ross in 2019, Todd Howard 2017, Hideo Kojima 2016, and the list goes on and on and on. Tim, Ed Boon, I know you hate him. How do you feel about this?
I hope he doesn't get caught for steroids before this happens, but which is a joke I probably shouldn't have made after you made a joke about me hating him, because I definitely don't hate him.
Yeah, you like Ed Boon a lot, but then you use some topical Barry Bonds humor, which I appreciate. Me and Andy like that reference. Nobody else understands. No, we're joking. Ed Boon's great. Ed Boon's awesome.
No, this is awesome. I mean, Ed Boon, obviously, it's super influential into video games, and especially with NetherRealm. Like what the Mortal Kombat franchise has went through over the last couple decades is honestly kind of a beautiful thing to see. Like I always talk about this, but it still impresses me that Mortal Kombat 9, 10, and all the way through like to 11 and Ultimate with where we're at now. Like when we were at IGN, that was like the biggest thing ever. If there was a character reveal in Mortal Kombat, like it was the number one story. And it was like, how many videos, how many articles can we write about this? Because this is what the people want. And I was always kind of surprised about that. Like Mortal Kombat's fucking awesome and has very wide appeal, but I didn't expect it to be like that type of, oh shit, like this is the number one story of the week type shit every single time there was anything about Mortal Kombat. And that's a testament to the quality that NetherRealm has put into the last couple iterations of the game and really reviving it.
And exactly, that's the thing. I think if you're not paying attention, or if you just are new around to video games, there are young people out there, I assume. It's the fact that, yeah, Mortal Kombat, you talk about the DICE award here, right? Highest level of creativity and innovation resulting in significant product influence on a scale that expands the scope of the industry. Obviously, when we were kids, Mortal Kombat was groundbreaking, right? Like it had blood in it, it had guts in it. Parents were freaking out about it. It was on the news. It was this. It was rated. It was blah.
It was the rock and roll of video games,
and it was everywhere, right? And then it gets the movie, and it has this cultural impact. And I think at some point, obviously, as you continue to add on sequels and sequels and sequels to it, it became a parody of itself. Where it was that, even though I loved Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 2, because I'm that old and me and my friends playing in my basement, you know what I mean, and doing fatalities and stuff like that, as they added on more babyalities and friendships and it just stacked so much stuff on it. And I would say crap, but I loved those games. I'm not a franchise fan, right? It got to a point where I think at least people weren't giving it a second look anymore. That was something for a very, not small audience, but an audience.
It was a different audience.
It builds and builds and builds to this weird thing that I don't think was what Mortal Kombat is now or was then. it has this weird growing pain section where it is making all these games that people care about, but not on the scale that they care about Mortal Kombat 10. Not when
Yeah,
they
no,
did, when they
totally.
brought it back. Yeah,
I think what happened was there was the original 90s kind of trilogy, I'll say, and like even that's kind of debatable, but like obviously like the classic ones that defined what Mortal Kombat is and really were a huge moment in video games. But then once we started getting like 5, 6, 7, like in that area around the PS2, those games, it just became fun. That just became a gamer's game where you rent it. It's like the kind of like that. Mortal Kombat like Deception is a perfect example to me of like the PS2 era, where it's like that era was a kind of about the quantity of fun as opposed to like what we look at now as like prestige gaming titles, right? And I think that Mortal Kombat 9 and specifically 10 really were the ones that brought it back to Mortal Kombat being a prestige title more than it ever was before, where I feel like even in the 90s that was a totally different time, and what Mortal Kombat meant to video games is different than what it means to video games now, where
sure.
Mortal Kombat is one of the bigger franchises across all of gaming, and there's expectations there from quality and from just expectations of like character and just what you kind of want from iconic video games, where this game's not just iconic, it's also really good.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it for sure, 100%. Because I go back to, when I was at IGN early days, right? Like I reviewed Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe in 2008. Like I did that because at the time I was the biggest DC fan on staff. They didn't have a Mortal Kombat fan to review that game, and like I should not be reviewing a fighting game by any stretch of the imagination. But at the time, when you go to the review pool of who cares about this game, Greg cared in some regard, and so I got it. And I think that was when you're in this main section of Mortal Kombat Burnout, and then a small audience that's there. But then to what you're talking about, Tim, of these games that weren't meant to be being played on a stage and being this, this fighting game audience bread and butter thing. They were meant to be something you rented with your friends and gawked at fatalities and then moved on with your life.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget renting Deadly Alliance with my friend Curran. We popped that thing in. The first cutscene is Liu Kang is dead, and his like head gets chopped off. And I was like, "This is awesome!" Like that's the level of just like this is stupid ass popcorn flick type gaming, right? And like
Yeah.
they nailed that, but they really leveled up. So shout out to Ed Boon, man, like just being there the whole time, and not even just Mortal Kombat, like Injustice, right? Like an Injustice 2.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man, so fucking cool! I can't wait to see what they're doing next.
Neither can I, but that's still so far away. This would have been a good transition to the list, but we're not there yet. Instead, we're on number 3, which begins a Ubisoft rock block. We'll start with this. Rainbow Six Extraction is a hit. This is via BenjiSales over on Twitter, who tweets, Rainbow Six Extraction has reached over 3 million players in its first week of release. The game is currently the 4th most popular title on Game Pass on console in the United States. Tim, interesting, right? I know you haven't played, you don't care about these kind of games. I've played a lot. I had a lot of fun. I haven't played nearly as much as Andy and Mike, but I play with them and enjoy myself. Even, this weekend I was taking out the compost bin while Jen was taking care of Benjamin. I got a text from Gary Wood. He's like, me and Khalif are going to play Extraction. You want to climb on? I was like, damn, man, Extraction is everywhere.
Yeah, man, and that's Game Pass, right? And I'm so interested in this news story for what it means a couple years from now when we look back and these numbers that are just, are they inflated numbers, or is this a shift in the industry where we look at this in Halo, 20 million players, the biggest Halo launch ever, Forza Horizon 5, like the biggest Forza launch. And it's like, cool, Game Pass is allowing people to have that launch, but what's the longevity look like? And what are those numbers? It reminds me of the boon of YouTube and internet video and that 2008 to 2011 era where views were just inflated to all hell because what counted as a view wasn't quantified yet. There weren't rules around it all. And for the ad agencies weren't making money off of it properly yet. They were still trying to figure that all out, right? So there'd be a million views. It's like, okay, but how many people actually watched it?
Sure.
And so you had to figure that out. I think that this is different because this has to be active players. This is people that are playing with each other, engaging in games. There's an interactivity involved that videos don't have, right? So this number is huge, especially for these games that Rainbow Six Extraction would not be getting a headline about success in terms of sales, I don't think, if it weren't for Game Pass, right? But here we are with Game Pass, it is. At what point are we not going to praise these numbers anymore? It's just kind of normal and expected. And then what is the bar going to be? Is it going to be, it has to hit 20 for it to be talked about? I don't know. I'm interested in it, but I don't think it's going to turn into the inflated numbers thing. I do think that this is a shift in the industry where more people are playing games and these numbers are going to continue to get higher in the same way you look at the Nintendo sales of their first party titles. Like the fact that a Zelda game is going to cross 30 million sales by the end of the Switch life cycle is utterly insane. I mean, I remember Mario Kart Wii being this like crazy ass goal, not goal, but like that couldn't even have been a goal because the 35 million sales it had were like, no game can fucking hit that. Are you kidding me? A single platform game like all of that. It's just crazy. And then now the Switch kind of has a whole bunch of titles like bumping up against that. And I think that by the end of the life cycle, many will cross it. And then you look at PlayStation and the sales for Horizon, the sales for God of War, the sales for Spider-Man, like Ghost, like they're astronomical compared to what we were seeing before from PlayStation exclusive sales on previous consoles and stuff. Like there are more people playing games, there are more people interested in playing games, and there are more people actually invested in ecosystems of gaming. And Game Pass allows even more people at a lower barrier. So these numbers are going to continue to go up, and I just think this is going to result in more people playing games, more people asking for games, and therefore more quality games being made.
Well, it also falls into the category of why this is a headline. You're like, is 3 million a success? You know, what's that number? It's on Xbox Game Pass, yada, yada, yada. I think it is very unique to Rainbow Six Extraction, right? We're talking about a game that had a weird reveal, had a change of its name. I don't think in the lead up to it, many people were sitting there going, man, I can't wait to play Rainbow Six Extraction. It was a game that hit at the right time. It's a brand new year and everybody wants those brand new games. And so to drop a game that is $40, so not even the $70, not even $60, $40, but more importantly, put it out on Game Pass, you get this kind of movement where you see people who are going to try it and then have fun with it. And again, this is back to, I think, when Gary Whitta and I were talking last year now about Aliens Fire Team Elite, Aliens Fire Team Elite, right? I got the name right. Which was another co-op shooter that was rough around the edges but enjoyable enough. And Gary was into it. I'm like, how long are you gonna be into this? I don't know, a week. You know what I mean? Like when we start, I think you can look at Game Pass and we compare it so much to Netflix of gaming, right? But in these kind of instances, it reminds me to harken back to the second story we just did, right? You and Curran renting a Mortal Kombat. Like it is, you and your friends can get in and get this game and you're not paying for it, so you can go and play it. You can have some fun with it for the weekend, for a week, for launch week, and be like, cool, I'm out and I'm never coming back. And I think for Rainbow Six Extraction, a game that had, and I may be overstating or over dramatizing here, little to no hype behind it. I didn't, and I'm not part of the Siege community, so I don't know how much they were into it, but I know, like, I saw Skill Up's YouTube video where he was like, as a Siege player, I hate this game, it's bad. There's different expectations applied to it by different audiences. And I don't think so many people would have tried this if it was a full price game or you had to buy it, period. The fact that it was there, you're able to jump in and go is great. Ubisoft's able to make money off the microtransactions. And then where they go from here is an interesting question. DaNanoBiologist is in the chat right now. And spoilers, DaNanoBiologist is the squad up because he's trying to get all the achievements on Rainbow Six and he's about there. But in chat, he was like, I just want to see a roadmap. They could do this, they could do that, blah, blah. Are they going to do any of that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is this, they made their money from the Game Pass and they're gone? Do they need to keep going? Are they just going to turn it to Siege? We'll have to wait and see. But that's what these kind of games can be now.
Yeah, and I think that's the bigger question, though, to follow up to my whole diatribe I just had about, like, what does this actually mean for the industry? The question for me now is, cool, if once we understand what a level of success means and what expectations are for Game Pass numbers, then the next question is, okay, but then what's that actually mean for the game's longevity? And what does that mean for the developers of, are they going to create these weekend moment type games where, to your point about renting games and just having these funds, like what is the timeline that they care about for people engaging with any video game they're putting out? Are they going to continue to be like, we just want people to have fun with this game for a month or just a week or just a weekend, whatever it is? And I think that's okay, but there is the concern that games are going to start to be designed just for that, as kind of like a, let's get these pops of the money coming in for the signups and all that stuff, and then we're not really going to do anything. Maybe one little drop here, and that's kind of it, just to kind of. But
then we're into a fascinating conversation that, and I know I'm trying to take old terminology and put it here of like, what if that is the AA game though? That is how it works now, right? Because like I never needed DLC for Dark Void. Like when I reviewed it, and granted, I didn't need anything. Dark Sector might be a better reference, right? Where I played Dark Sector and I finished Dark Sector, and I was like, this is a fun game with a glaive and cool powers. I wasn't looking for more. Like it's to your point of like, what else could they do? Or even Nano's thing. Like, I think it's interesting when I was talking so much about Outriders, and I was playing Outriders at the beginning of last year when it was in a similar position, right, where we were waiting for something. Here's something to play, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm having fun," blah blah blah, and I kept saying like, "I wonder what they're going to do in a post-launch world, or they're doing this blah blah." And I think I actually talked about them hemming and hawing about DLC and stuff like that. But somebody brought up a point of like, if you enjoyed the 60 hours or whatever it is, I think it's 48 according to my PlayStation, 48 hours you've played with it. Why are you like, well, but it doesn't have a roadmap, it doesn't have a thing. Maybe that's all this game is trying to be, and that's all it'll be. And I think if you're doing that, maybe that people are designing games that are, hey, these are things we want you to enjoy for a week or a month. If we were to say it was a single player campaign that was 8 to 10 hours, it'd be like, okay, cool. But when it is something like this, it's kind of like juicy fruit. How long do you want to chew that gum? You get that burst of flavor, but then what do you do with it?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's where it comes down to expectations, right? And we haven't really seen anyone kind of set that expectation of, there's not going to be extra content for this multiplayer game we're putting out. We expect you to have fun with what this is for as long as you do.
And that's why it gets annoying, because Outriders initially said that, and then they were like, whoa, hold on, people like the game. Well, no, we're making stuff and we're doing stuff. And then they dropped some of it, and I didn't even know about it until I saw Fran a week later talking about it. I was like, oh, really? Shit.
Yeah. We're in a cool place right now where things are changing, cool. and there's just stuff coming out. And like the point that I keep making the last couple of weeks and I am still just baffled by is the amount of games that we were just wrong about, where we all kind of expected them to not be good, and they end up being good to great. And that's continuing to happen. And I'm stoked about it. And I wonder how much Game Pass has to do with that. I wonder how much having a player base for Outriders, having a player base for Extraction is changing the narrative of these things.
Speaking of having a player base, number 4 on the Roper Report, Ubisoft shutting down Hyperscape. Yes, Hyperscape was still going. The official post goes like this: contenders, which I guess is what Hyperscape called its people. We have made the difficult decision to end development of Hyperscape and shut down the game as of April 28th, the day after my birthday. We set out to create a vertical, close quarters, and fast-paced shooter experience, and we are extremely grateful to our community for joining us on our journey. We will be taking key learnings from this game into future products. To the Hyperscape community, thank you all for your passion and dedication to the world of Neo Arcadia, both inside and outside of the game. Your devotion to the game we built will always be cherished. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Sincerely, Hyperscape.
Blessing put this in the Slack, and then he immediately responded like, I didn't even know it was still happening. And I'm kind of in that camp too. And following up with the last stories we were talking about to here, it is crazy that there are just so many games out there, so many multiplayer games out there, that there's a community and there are people playing, but that community is not necessarily big enough to continue this thing going. But it's just crazy how much is going on that we're just unaware of. Like, did you know Hyperscape still existed?
Dude, I think you could show me 3 different screenshots, and it would be a toss-up of me trying to identify what Hyperscape is.
Valorant.
Like, ooh, shit, fuck. I think that would be even better if you gave me blind, like, what is this game? If we hadn't been talking about Hyperscape, it would have been an interesting conversation to have. Yeah. So no, exactly though. It's right. And again, like, I think the usual thing is when stuff like this happens, it's the hot take 280 characters is a joke. That was still going, or me right now literally being, I don't even know what that game looks like, which isn't a joke. I really don't. But it's also the thing of like, again, to piggyback off of story number 3, I'm glad they tried. Shout out to this team. Someone, there was a team there of talented game designers who were like, we have an idea and we want to make this game and we're going to go make this game. And they did. Is that the case though? It didn't hit. I don't fucking know. Somebody there cared about Hyperscape. But it didn't just get spit out of an AI generator.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, though. And like, somebody cared is like a very complicated thing. And like, I hope that somebody really did. I hope that many people really did. And I hope that they cared. But to me, it always came down to, okay, Ubisoft just wants a battle royale. And hey, I guess this team's going to do it and try your best, And I don't know that's right, but that's kind of what it feels like looking at Ubisoft and how they make decisions and look and how they chase trends and all that stuff.
Ubisoft definitely chases trends and definitely chases, where they think the market is going. They are obviously very business oriented on that. So that's definitely possible of how it went. But the team, I'm sure people threw themselves into that project. And again,
absolutely.
It's an uphill battle, even if you're chasing a trend, but you can do that. You can do, look at, I know this is like, fucking look at Michael Jordan, but like, look at Fortnite, right? Where it was like, our game sucks and is failing. Well, we should try doing a battle royale like PUBG. Why not? Like, people, it can happen. You can go, you can try. The people who worked on Hyperscape tried really hard, so I do feel for them. I'm excited to see their passion and dedication. Or no, that's the wrong one. Their key learnings in their future products. And then finally, in your Ubisoft Rock Block, before I talk to you about our sponsors, number 5, Ubisoft Singapore, it turns out, isn't toxic after all. This is Jared Moore at IGN with an update to the story from August 21, where they talked about there being an investigation into a toxic workplace at Ubisoft Singapore. I digress. Here's IGN's Jared Moore. An investigation into potentially toxic culture at Skull and Bones lead developer Ubisoft Singapore has come out in favor of the studio. The tripartite Alliance for Fair and Progressive Employment Practices, TAFEP, launched an investigation into the studio last year after reports of workplace harassment, discrimination, and unfair pay disparity. As announced today by Ubisoft, TAFEP has concluded that the Singapore studio has a structured system in place to handle misconduct reports and that previous reports were dealt with appropriately. It also reported that differences in pay is performance-based, with disparities coming down to experience or seniority rather than biases. Managing Director Daryl Long said, quote, "We've put best practices in place at Ubisoft Singapore to ensure a safe, respectful, inclusive, and equitable workplace for every member of our team. We will continue striving to be an exemplary employer in Singapore and the region, one that attracts and retains the best talents and creates amazing games that enrich the lives of our players," end quote. Back to Jared Moore at IGN. It has been a tumultuous period for Ubisoft with delays and further allegations of toxic workplaces, while a, quote, "great exodus of development talent has reportedly caused issues at the company's many studios." I added the many part, the company's studios. Whew. There you go, Tim. An update to August 21st. We bring up all the time, toxic workplace allegations, toxic workplace confirmations, and I'm not talking about just Ubisoft everywhere. I think it's important that when an investigation comes back like this one into Ubisoft Singapore, we have something. There's something to say. There it is. You know what I mean? That it turns out that at least in the TAFEP's eyes, this was not actually there, and these reports weren't founded.
Yeah. I mean, it's so complicated to talk about. Hopefully, that's all true, and hopefully, it's not actually a thing. That's all I really could say about
100%.
that.
And I think it's important to point out that, again, this is what they found for Ubisoft Singapore. Ubisoft as a company, not at all remotely do they have clean hands in this situation. I always urge you to go to twitter.com/a-better-Ubisoft. That's where, of course, current and former Ubisoft employees, including over 13,000 supporters demanding real permanent change. You can go there. They still have up a Google form you can click on that you can then go and sign to have Ubisoft address the concerns there. Because, of course, there's a bunch of concerns that still have not been addressed by Ubisoft from a management capacity, and that's fucked up for their employees. So please go do that. Twitter.com/a-better-Ubisoft. Speaking of .coms, I'll tell you about patreon.com. Patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames, where you can go to write and be part of the show. You can be a Patreon producer. You can get the show ad free. You can get it with the exclusive post show we do each and every weekday. However, you're not on Patreon.com/KindaFunnyGames. So right now, let me tell you about our sponsors. When it comes to getting a good night's sleep, there's only one thing you need: a good mattress. Forget all those gimmicks like mattress toppers and weighted blankets. If your mattress is terrible, your sleep is going to be terrible. So get the only thing you truly need: a Purple mattress. Only Purple mattresses have the Gel Flex Grid. It's a super stretchy, ultra squishy material that adapts and flexes around pressure points and doesn't retain heat. How do I know? Well, I talked to a young man named Timothy Geddes, and Timothy swears by the Purple pillow. Then, on top of that, he used to have a roommate named Joey Noel who swore by her Purple mattress. That's right. Kind of funny sleeping all over this Purple stuff and loving every minute of it. Getting a great night's sleep starts with having a great mattress. Get a Purple mattress. Go to purple.com/KindaFunny and use the code KindaFunny. For a limited time, you can get 10% off any order of $200 or more. That's purple.com/KindaFunny. Code KindaFunny for 10% off any order of $200 or more. That's purple.com/KindaFunny. Promo code KindaFunny. Terms apply. There are a ton of worthwhile goals to set for yourself this year, and personally, learning a new language with Babbel is at the top of my list. Babbel is the addictively fun, fast, and easy language learning app that has sold more than 10 million subscriptions. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Greg, and as you know, I'm in love with a French Canadian named Geneviève Saint-Onge. And Jen, of course, first language is French. She learned English later on, and I've been trying to learn French, but I keep falling off. I've got Babbel on my phone. I'm ready to do it in 2022. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective. You can choose from 14 different languages like Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you improve your pronunciation and accent. I could probably use that for English. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months for free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to Babbel.com and use the promo code KindaFunny, all one word. That's BABBEL.com, code KindaFunny. Babbel, language for life. Number 6 on the Roper Report, ladies and gentlemen. Game Informer's next cover has been revealed, and it is Elden Ring. We joined Daniel Tack's announcement story at GameInformer.com. In Elden Ring, From Software's creation illuminates with an absolutely huge open world to explore, with design decisions and features learned from over a decade of honing dark fantasy action/RPG fare. With around 10 hours of hands-on gameplay with Elden Ring and a 1-hour interview with Miyazaki, join us on a journey through the early portions of this grandiose epic. After this incredible experience with the full game, I can honestly say I've never been as excited for a release as I am with Elden Ring. Luckily, we don't have to wait long, as Elden Ring is scheduled to arrive on February 25th. In our 18-page cover story, we take on the 18 pages, Tim.
Wow.
In our 18-page cover story, we take on the game's first major boss, explore previously unrevealed areas of the open world, journey into the magical Roundtable Hold, and delve into dungeons big and small. The world of Elden Ring has no shortage of secrets to find, and we discover some fascinating mysteries between our brief foray into the lands between. In addition, Miyazaki discusses numerous facets of the game with us, from George Railroad Martin's exciting collaborative aspects to a rekindled love for creating poisonous swamp environments. Tim Geddes, number 1, how excited for Elden Ring? Number 1 are you? And then number 2, how fucking disgusted with Timur Hussein are you that he didn't land this cover story for GameSpot.com? He's always bad. Like, oh, GameSpot.com.
Number 1 game website, number 2 game website, number 3 game website. Doesn't
it looks like they're the number 700th Elden Ring website right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lucy James is rolling over her in her grave.
Still
how excited for Elden Ring are you?
I'm excited for people. I'm so excited. I love hearing Daniel say that this is the most excited for a release he's ever been. That's awesome. I love that. I love those type of tentpole games, and they're rare, honestly. But this seems to kind of be it for a lot of people. I'd be surprised if this wasn't Tam's most anticipated game of all time. And that's kind of cool that we can be this far into gaming, this old in our lives, and still be this excited about something. I also love hearing you read these like paragraphs of words that mean absolutely nothing to me about a video game. And it's just like, you can apply that to any game. Like I remember every time you talk about Destiny and you start saying all these words, it's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And if I was talking about Pokemon shit, you'd be like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like every game
Porygon, baby.
You know that Porygon, baby. But I just love like even hearing the lands between and the like all this shit. It's like, what the hell does this mean? But like, I'm so stoked that it means so much to people. And in February 25th, they're going to get this. And I really, really, really feel like this game's going to be something extra special. Not just like, oh man, it's a damn good video game. Like, I think that we have a shift on our hands with this, with the way that people are talking about it that have played it. Like, seeing Andy talk about this game is unlike Andy talking about anything ever, including
those
the band Rush. He likes. It's more than the cheese puffs, man. Wow. Wow. Like there's like a passion in his eyes. There's a shake to it all.
I'm excited. It's that thing where it's like, you know, I liked Bloodborne fine, but it didn't click for me. Like, you know, when all the way through played it with the guys, Timur helped me out a lot, of course, even though I know he's taking it very hard. I see him in the chat. He is like a little kid throwing a tantrum in there that his website is now number 4 for Elden Ring, behind, of course, GameInformer.com, IGN.com, Twitter.com/ImranOMG. And now there's GameSpot right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm, you know, the open world part of it gets me excited. Hearing Andy talk about us all exploring it together and learning new things and trying to track stuff down. I don't think at this point it's going to be something that clicks for me. Like, I'm excited to get in there. I'm excited to try it out. But I imagine that first time I run into something that's like, well, now everybody on the internet is trying to figure out how to get through this door with this key. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this shit. I'm going to go back to probably trying to Platinum Dying Light 2 or Platinum Horizon or whatever the hell it is.
Well, that's the other thing too for me. It's Pokemon. Like, because
I don't believe Porygon's not in this one. I know you're telling me this is in the past. You're telling me this is in the past. Porygon's created in a lab or some shit. There's gonna be a wooden Porygon, right? That somebody else made there. That's how it's gonna work. I'm gonna get a Porygon. You wait and see.
I love how serious you are, because I don't believe the Porygon's not in Pokemon.
You don't have Muhammad Ali ride the bench when you're in the Olympics for boxing, right? You put him in the game, and that's what they're gonna do right here.
Porygon, the Muhammad Ali of Pokemon.
He's widely considered that, Greg.
Do you know what Porygon is most well known for, Greg?
Being polygonal.
Giving kids seizures in Japan.
He's the one who did it?
Yes.
That was the first time I ever heard about Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. And like the fucked up thing is he knew about it too.
He looked right at the screen. He was like, "Hello, children."
Oh my god. I hope there's a wooden Porygon just for you though, Greg.
Thank you. I would really appreciate that.
I want Pokemon Legends. Why is it 10:48 a.m. on a Thursday? I want it to be 10:48 on a Friday.
Yeah, you gotta wait for this game. It's right there. God.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's been Reddit threads like, yeah, KindaFunny didn't get a code, so it's sad.
But a lot of people didn't, right? It was the fact that they kept the reviews tight on this one. Is what I was told.
Yeah.
But we're tight.
Because what it means, of course, is like this is one of those few times that I can reach across the aisle and I can grab Snowbike Mike's hand and shake it and laugh at you. The fact that we have the Xbox podcast, we have the PlayStation podcast, of course, we're going to get all those games. You know what I mean? But when they're like, man, we can't give out Pokemon Arceus to everybody. We can only give it out to some people. And they're like, well, shorten the list. Who has a Nintendo podcast? Like, well, KindaFunny doesn't. So, boop.
I will say, in a very, very, very selfish way,
yeah,
I'm actually kind of happy that I just get to experience this game with everybody without the pressures of review and all that stuff. Real talk. Like I didn't want to have to like fucking cram in Pokemon Legends like 100 hours.
This is exactly how I felt about getting to go see Ghostbusters Afterlife at a theater instead of getting to see it way ahead of time. I was like, this is better for me.
No,
for Benjamin.
Totally different. If it was like a shorter game, I want to fucking early and I want to fucking get that experience as soon as possible. But with this, it's like I'm slow playing Pokemon Legends, baby. We're going all the way. You got to catch them all, and I'm going to catch them all, Greg.
Kevin, is he really going to catch them all?
Nah, he's going to get a lot of them, though. Like,
yeah, no, I believe that.
Like,
I buy.
We'll look at the list and be like, oh, wow, that's a lot of them. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty much all of them. We're going to be like, nah, it's not.
I don't see that wooden Porygon.
Where's that wooden Porygon, Warrigon is what they call him. Number 7 on the Roper Report. Are we going to get another Uncharted one day? This is Rachel Weber over at Games Radar, who was interviewing Naughty Dog's Kurt Marganow, of course, co-lead designer on Uncharted 4 and game director on Uncharted Lost Legacy, and Sean Eskai, creative director on Uncharted Lost Legacy and lead cinematic animator on Uncharted 4. Of course, they're talking about the Legacy of Thieves collection, which is coming out this week. Barrett's reviews up right now, KindaFunny all over the place. But we joined the article to talk about if we're going to ever get another Uncharted. But with Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection reminding us why the series is so special, fans will want to know if we'll ever get an Uncharted 5. Perhaps even one where a new character like Chloe takes on the role of the treasure hunting hero. Of course, neither of the Naughty Dog guys would spill the studio secrets, but there was a sliver of hope. Quote, I think we can say for certain that we can never say never. Yeah, Uncharted is a franchise we love, that the studio loves, I love, and Kurt loves. It's a world we want to see more of, so I can definitely say that, said Sean. Tim, are we ever getting more Uncharted?
I mean, first off, I just want to say it's fucking rude of them to release this game now. Everyone's replaying Uncharted 4. Everyone's replaying Lost Legacy. You know what that does to me, Greg? I fucking want to do that. I want to play Lost Legacy. But then Pokemon's here. We got Horizon on the horizon.
You don't have it.
I guess you're right. I do have it.
You don't have a Nintendo podcast, so you don't have Pokemon.
Yeah.
You on the internet are not known as a Pokemon fan.
So
you could be playing Uncharted right now.
It's true. I want a new Uncharted. I love Uncharted. I said this when Lost Legacy came out, and I don't think it was a popular opinion on our panel at the time, but I will take a Lost Legacy every year. I like the smaller kind of like just getting that, not a movie length, but like 4 or 5 hour experience of Uncharted level quality every year, focus on a different character. That's the type of annualization I'm looking for. And also that'd be insane. But even smaller, if they just give me 2.5 hours every year. Something fun to look forward to, a pulpy adventure. I'd be all in.
What if the trade-off was this? What if rather than getting that, they took like 7 years to make Last of Us Factions 2? Would that be cool?
Yeah, see, I don't want that. I don't want Last of Us Factions. No. I just want single player stuff.
Yeah. I think you'll then definitely get an Uncharted again. I still don't think it'll be soon. I think you sit on that. I don't think it's this generation.
And it's probably not Naughty Dog, right?
That's when it gets weird. I don't think if I'm another studio, I don't want that pressure. I don't want to take that. Like, because we all saw with Sony Bend and Golden Abyss. And granted, I mean, there's things you could not like about Golden Abyss, but it is the same of like from the beginning, they were behind the 8 ball on that one. Yeah. Trying to overcome what Naughty Dog did, trying to overcome it on a handheld that's new, try to put in all these different things. Like, no matter what, it's the same thing with Arkham Origins, right? Like, you take somebody else's thing and you're like, I'm going to do something with it. Like, even if I'm not saying these games are perfect by any stretch of the imagination, I think immediately you're already starting point stocked.
I think that we're in a new era, though, that is very interesting. And we haven't quite got to this point, but I think that by next generation we will, where Sony has a stable of IP that is so iconic and so like prestige that there could be, and not just IP, but studios, where we now have multiple studios that we talk about and people love. Whether it's Guerrilla, whether it's Naughty Dog, whether it's Insomniac, continue. But Sucker Punch, exactly. The idea of one team playing with another franchise, I think, is a lot more exciting than the Arkham Origins situation, where it's like, oh, it's not Rocksteady, that sucks. Whereas the idea of Insomniac's making an Uncharted game, people would be excited about that. Okay. You know, like I think we haven't seen that yet, but I do think we're going to see that, of them kind of playing and giving something different that creates a really kind of interesting new vibe, where Nintendo's kind of dabbled with that a little bit in the past, and especially in the GameCube era, or GameCube GBA, Game Boy Color era, even, where it's like Capcom making Oracle of Ages and Seasons and that type of stuff, where that was exciting news, even though it's a core Zelda game and Nintendo's not the one making it. Like, that type of shit I think is really, really interesting and can be fun and kind of give a little new life into franchises like Uncharted that at this point have had 5-6 iterations.
Okay. I could see it, I guess. I think you have to go completely different, though, right? Like, is Uncharted just Nathan Drake? And I know we already have Lost Legacy, so it literally isn't. But I think I would want to see if it's going to be Insomniac's Uncharted, or more importantly, Hideo Kojima presents Uncharted, then I'd want it to be totally different. We're just treasure hunting. It's some other treasure hunter. It doesn't have to be tied to Nathan at all.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many characters in Uncharted that could be the protagonist.
Cutter, already. You know, whatever happened to him.
Oh hell yeah, give me some Cutter action.
Nah, we're running long in the tooth here. Number 8. Sony London's working on an online PS5 game. This is Jared Moore again at IGN.com. Sony's London studio is recruiting new talent in order to develop its next game, which it says will be an online PlayStation 5 exclusive. According to a number of recent job postings advertised by Sony London Studio, which most recently released VR exclusive Blood and Truth, the company is looking to put together a fresh new team in order to create an online PlayStation 5 game. We could keep talking, but that is what they will continue to say over and over again. So, Sony London, online PlayStation 5 game. Frankly, awesome. Go get them. Loved Blood and Truth. I don't need this to be VR. I'd like to see what they would do in a non-VR world, but I also know they're passionate about VR. So if they're making VR for PlayStation VR 2, let's go. Just shorten up the weird loads Blood and Truth had, where like somebody would walk into another room and shut the door behind them. And then I'd walk to the door, and then the door would have to open for me to go into the next area. Knock that shit off.
Yeah.
Number 9.
Loved the little experience they did before Blood and Truth in the
the heist,
VR Worlds or whatever.
Blood and Heist, yeah.
Shit was awesome.
I loved Getaway from way back in the day. They should just make a Getaway.
Can you do me a favor? And I know this is the worst time for me to ask you to do this.
Tim, there's no bad time for it.
Oh, that definitely is. There's so many games. But at some point, can you please just play the Matrix experience? Just play for 30 minutes. It's just 30 minutes. I just need you to see these facial animations. It's not even about the Matrix. It doesn't matter. It's not about the
I feel like I've seen enough GIFs go by of it that I get it.
When you have the controller in your hands, it changes it, man. It fucking changes it, dude.
Greg, I don't think it's worth it, if I'm being honest.
I mean, Kevin, it's just
Did you do it,
I need to go back into this shitbag world?
What's his face? What's his face was doing it? Mike?
Keanu Reeves.
No, you know what? It was Nick. Nick was doing it, and we streamed it, and it just was like, wow, what a waste of fucking time.
Oh my god!
Because here's the problem with Matrix anything is I look at it and it just reminds me how good Matrix 1 was, and how bad Matrix 2 was, and how bad Matrix 3 was.
I'm not talking about it.
I've heard how bad Matrix 4 is.
Tim, this won't save Matrix 4. Like, I don't care what you say, it won't save Matrix 4.
And all you want me to do is get in there, so I'm like, Matrix isn't that bad, so you think I'll start backing down on Avatar. Avatar's terrible. Avatar needs to be stopped.
Oh, wait, no, hold on. I'm on the wrong side of this. I like Avatar.
You're wrong.
Yeah. Right.
It's the same thing of just like what we're talking about with video games right now, right? Where it's like you can do one and walk away. You don't have to have a 19-year plan, James Cameron. Just stop. I'd rather see Titanic 2. Can we get that? Did Bill Paxton ever go back down there and just see the heart of the ocean laying on the floor? He's like, oh man, it was here the whole time, right below me. This is dope.
Yeah. Well, Oops, I Did It Again video was Titanic too.
It's a great point. That's a great point. Number 9 on the Roper Report, Rumbleverse has been delayed. This is Iron Galaxy's letter about it. We want to thank everyone for their enthusiastic reception that enthusiastic reception that Rumbleverse received after our reveal at the Game Awards. During our first look play session, it was hilarious and inspiring to see people land their first elbow drop from the top of a skyscraper. Those are the moments you dream about when you work on a game. The thing about game development is that plans have a way of changing ... Today we are announcing that we've decided not to launch Rumbleverse on February 15th. Having Grappital City filled with Rumblers taught us a lot. We're excited about the game we're making, and we're glad you are too. But there's more we want to do to perfect the experience. More than a game, Rumbleverse will be a community that we want to support for a long time. We are going to take the time to make sure we can do that right. That obviously means that early access won't begin on February 8th. If you bought the early access pack, we are working with our platform partners to refund your purchase. We'll provide another opportunity for you to purchase content for the game once we schedule a new launch date. So, number 1, delayed, not happening February 15th anymore. Number 2, cool that they're going through the whole early access, and I know they probably have to legally, but they're very upfront of like, we're going to refund your money, don't panic.
Yeah. I love this. I love this game's happening. It was one of those weird games like, what the hell is this real? Like, what's going on? But it's Iron Galaxy, and the fact that it's them making a wrestling battle royale, everything about that just seems like it's in the right hands. Of earlier we're talking about Hyperscape, and it's like, did that team really want to make it? I'm not convinced. They might have been, whatever.
Sure.
I'm like, these motherfuckers want to make this game.
Yeah, and then of course I missed it because it was right in the heat of being a dad or whatever. But I'm very excited for that. Like, I liked the idea of it. The idea of a knockout city, but it is wrestling, is pretty cool for me. And I guess it's not exactly the same, but you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Number 10, you see the influences. You see what I'm driving at. I'm not the same. Don't bother. You're wrong me. Number 10, finally, Horizon Forbidden West has gone gold. I pulled from Angie's PlayStation blog statement, but that's the statement. Horizon Forbidden West completely on target to come out on the 18th. It's gone gold, meaning that they're set to start printing and distributing the game and get you into Aloy's adventure. I can't wait, Tim.
Mm-hmm. So close. But
the problem is February 18th is so close, but it's actually so far away. Tim, if I wanted something more exciting, say what came to the mom and grop shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the KindaFunny Games Daily show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, Vagnate on Switch. Hotel Life, a resort simulator on all the PlayStations, all the Xbox, Switch, and PC. Swan, Chernobyl Unexplored on all the Xboxes. The Longest Road on Earth on all the PlayStations, all the Xboxes, and Switch. Circus Superstars, PS4. Wanderer, PS4 and PC. Cogen, Sword of Rewind on PlayStation 4, all the Xboxes, Switch, and PC.
Sword of Rewind is a fucking cool ass name. I talk a lot of shit about game names, and I'm going to be real. Adding Kogan before it, not necessarily the move, but Sword of Rewind is sick.
Do you remember Be Kind Rewind?
Mm-hmm.
What a fucking movie that was. That was a fun movie. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, they used to have these things called video stores where you had VHS tapes. These guys erased all the VHS movies, so then they refilmed them themselves, and then they became big hits.
Never would have worked in real life.
Remember the Amanda show, Greg?
Yes, Amanda Bynes.
It's not Blockbuster. It's Blockblister.
No, I didn't see. I remember too much. I remember that I was hoping there were no follow-up questions because I didn't watch it. I think I might have just been. I was already out of my snick at that point. You know what I mean? But I remember it happening. I remember her getting promoted.
It was a sketch that they kept going back to.
No, I kind of got it.
Style, where it's like they would go and people would rent a movie thinking that it's one thing and ends up being a totally different thing, and it was hilarious. Hilarity ensues, Greg.
Gomoku Let's Go is on Switch. Unforeseen Incidents on Switch. Concordia Digital Edition on Switch. Crazy Athletics, Summer Sports and Games is on Switch. Seer Fate is on Switch. Pandemic Shooter is on Switch. Magi Trials is on Switch. Crush is on Switch. Hidden Pause is on Switch. Deflector is on PC. Taiko no Tatsuna, I didn't do this one already, right? No. The Drum Master is now available on all the Xboxes and PC. This is GTA Online. The new DeClass Granger 3600 LX hits the roads of Los Santos this week as the spacious SUV is now available at Southern San Andreas Super Autos alongside modifications at the agency vehicle workshop, such as the missile lock-on jammer. Hunt Showdown patch 1.7.2 is now live for PC and goes live for consoles on February 3rd. And then today, EA Sports has officially introduced playable women's teams and full rosters to NHL 2022. No, 22. for the first time with the inclusion of the IIHF Women's Teams and World Championship in the latest patch update. And then new dates for you. 2 Point Campus is coming to Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, May 17th. The game will be available on Xbox Game Pass on its release date for Xbox platforms and PC. And then finally, your final new date, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous is coming to console in autumn 2022. That's a delay. It got delayed to 2022 autumn. Deals of the day for you. We have Xbox's February games with gold. Broken Sword 5, The Serpent's Curse is going to be available February 1 to 28th. Aerial Knights Never Yield, available February 16th through March 15th. Hydrophobia, available February 1 to the 15th. And then Band of Bugs, February 16th through the 28th. Kevin, give me 2 of the characters in Band of Bugs.
Jiminy. He's a cricket.
Yeah, Jiminy Cricket for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And Wallace.
Jiminy and Wallace. Ooh, I like
Wallace
that.
The stink bug from what?
No, nothing. That's just my imagination.
He's a new character.
See, when you get it, I thought
OC.
you said Jiminy Cricket. I was like, oh man, it's a crossover event. You're gonna get like Jimmy's Cricket, and then like the ant from Ants, and then I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean,
whatever.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I was thinking of doing that. Couldn't name another bug.
Yeah. Jerry
I don't know.
Seinfeld's
I don't know.
From B movie.
God, that was a terrible thing. The B movie. What a bad idea that was.
What a good idea it is to write into patreon.com/kindafunnygames and squad up. This is where you give me your name, username, platform of choice, and why you need help in a video game. I read it here. The best friends come and find you, and everybody plays games together. Today, the NaNoBiologist needs help in Rainbow Six Extraction. You can get him on uPlay at Papa_Mort. PAPA_MORT or DaNanoBiologist on Twitter. Hey, y'all. I have 2 achievements left in Rainbow Six Extraction. One is to get all the operators to level 10, parentheses, almost done with that, and to complete 5 assignments or crisis events with a score of 30K. Randos have failed me for the last time on the ladder, so I hope that the best friends can help me instead. I'm free any night and just need 2 best friends who have a couple operators at level 10 to squad up, kick some Archean ass, and help me. I played this so much of this game, I don't know how to say the word because I don't remember the game. It doesn't matter. And help me get the pesky achievement. You can hit me up on Twitter, like I already said, at DaNanoBiologist, or you play at Papa_Mort. We can coordinate from there and set up a time. Thanks. If you want to help Papa_Mort get some of their achievements, hit them up. Rainbow Six Extraction. Tim, we asked people watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames to go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. Boris and 00 says Star Wars 1313 was not targeting PS3/360, but rather Xbox One and PS4. So you're right, Tim.
I had like just watching that gameplay footage. I'm like, this feels
too good.
Yeah, this feels last gen, you know?
NanoBiologist writes in and says, for clarification, the Siege community really doesn't like Extraction because of the stigma from the original Operation Chimera from Year 3, Season 1 in 2018, which was a boring co-op mode that lasted a month and brought 2 operators that were basically made for the co-op mode and not really for the PvP aspect. Okay. You know more than me, clearly. I know you love this game. The skill up thing was about a whole bunch of shit about that they didn't like, but I'm not. That's not what you're arguing. So I'm just putting out there. Justin34M says throughout the show, neither of you acknowledged that it was Roger's birthday. It is indeed Roger Porconi's birthday. Happy birthday, Roger. We're proud of you.
Justin34M, were you watching the show? We both said that.
No, man, he must have been looking at some other thing when what was it? Who was it? Dom Perignon or the fuck in the chat was saying something.
Doc Robotnik, Doc Stobotnik, Doc Stuba.
A bunch of people writing here. Ben and Frank, you're like, Titanic 2 already came out. You know exactly what I mean. A James Cameron Titanic 2, not the other movie thing there. You know what I mean? And then, okay. NanoBiologist says, breaking news, Yacht Club Games will have a Yacht Club Games Presents during X-Play on G4 with a quote-unquote mega announcement. This will happen February 1st. So there you go. Okay, and then JFULCRXM says Porygon didn't cause the seizures. Stupid Pikachu did.
I mean, it was Pikachu fighting a Porygon, and like, it's debatable who actually. I'm looking at the scene right now.
Be careful. Don't go down.
Yeah, gotta be careful. But that's a very funny Yurok, though. Stupid
Pikachu. That's when they did it to him. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily. Of course, you could watch us do the post show over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Tim and I will talk about things. If you don't want to do that, you can stay here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. And Mike and Blessing are going to play video games. It's listed as Metal Gear or Demon Souls. So we'll see what that turns out to be. If you want to see them play games later, you can go to youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays, where you can also go right now and see the archive of me beating Mike's ass at Monopoly. No big deal. Didn't know how to mortgage. What are you talking about? Why are you talking?
What are you
I
talking?
had no idea. I had no idea.
And then, of course, tomorrow there'll be another Games Daily. It's going to be Blessing and from the 4th best Elden Ring website, Tamor Hussein.
Wow.
Tamor Hussein will be here. I'm sure he will not have anything to say about any of the things I've said today.
see it.
And he won't make
I
fun of
hate
me at
to
all. Like I said, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday on a variety of platforms. We run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Of course, if you don't want to do that, no problem. youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Podcast services around the globe. We got a post show to do. So until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.